Once again, Marjot and I are laying in bed. Place is a bit of a mess, but we'd been busy. Had to make a note to clean up when I woke up. The animals were doing fine, over in their spot. Night passed just peacefully for once. When I got up, went back to constructing some of the walls. We were still doubling up our wall size, trying to keep ourselves safe here. Marjot was helping out. She also had to deal with the animals though, so she was a little distracted. I was working on the walls. Marjot went on inside to have a beer, do a little bit of cleaning. We weren't even letting them dogs inside, considering the fact that they make such a mess. I decided to take a walk around. Started thinking about Kira, wondering if she was still alive. She even made it down to the planet, and whatever happened to her, I suppose anything could have happened. Eventually I had to get back to work. Marjot was joining me. Marjot decided to get back to smelting. She decided to hit the hay, and I decided to join her shortly after midnight. I was a little crabby, being that I was soaking wet. Had to eat a meal standing up. Didn't have too much more to complain about though. The dogs were starving. We had to put some meat outside for them. So Marjot did that in the morning. And then I got back to work. Those dogs were pigging out on that pile of meat. There were still a lot of walls to build, and there was still a lot of steel to smelt. Marjot seemed to be making better progress than I was. I went inside and had a beer. It was raining. I was tired of standing around in it. But eventually I got myself back to it. Marjot smelted the whole day, and she was off to bed about 11 o'clock. Soaking wet, but with nothing else to complain about. I followed her not too long after, feeling pretty good from the beer I'd been drinking. When I got up, I was right back to working on those walls, and Marjot continued smelting. We were slowly building up our steel stockpile again, after having destroyed it and making all them guns last time. I worked on walls. Marjot had to work with the animals, on the off chance I had to get out and about. We found some of that fungus growing nearby. That was a bad situation. We knew right away what would happen if we let that go. I was chilling out having a beer. Marjot mentioned it, and I decided it had to be dealt with sooner rather than later. So I grabbed the Molotovs. Despite the rain, ran on out. Still couldn't determine what was causing this stuff, and we were hoping none of our animals had been infected by it. Either way, I started chucking Molotovs. Stupid Muffalo kept walking in my path, but oh well. I gotta get rid of this stuff before we get infected, or one of these animals gets infected. So I started it all on fire. It was still raining, so the whole place shouldn't burn up. After that, I did a little bit of butchering. There was a rat. As gross as that sounded, wouldn't hurt to have some extra meat around at some point perhaps. And beggars can't be choosers around here. We'd rather stay focused on the work. We decided to switch up the dogs' food for some corn, which they seemed to like just as much. The fire was still going quite a while later as we were in bed, but all the fungus seemed to have been killed. And about that time, a trade ship showed up. It was a combat supplier. I made it a point when I got out of bed to give him a call. I was also going to have to move the trade beacon around because we had some guns we wanted to sell to him. So we sold the guns, and that was about it. Didn't get much for them. Perhaps we should have smelted them in the end, but at least they're gone now. Place is getting to be quite the mess. Marjot was just ignoring it outside tossing some horseshoes. And I had myself some stir fry before getting back to working on the walls. Fire was still going. Hadn't spread too far and the rain had started up again. So that was taking care of it. I finished a big section of wall. I had to chop down some trees that were in the way of the next section. So I worked on that. I'd had to switch to limestone, seeing as we'd run out of some of the other types of blocks. Lightning hit our bridge. Nice deck we'd built off in the water. And the dock didn't burn up though. Fortunately the rain is good for something around here. Marjot had herself a nice stir-fry meal. I was in bed, feeling alright despite soaking wet. Marjot came and joined me too. Everything's getting to be such a mess. I decided to do some cooking. Probably should have done some cleaning first. Marjot was getting close to being done with all the smelting. She decided to move all the chunks closer to her. She sat and had a beer while I furiously cooked. Man, I saw her as I was running by. Problem with building all these guns is that they break down periodically, so I had to go repair a broken gun. And then I got back to the walls. Marjot was working with the animals, keeping them trained up. And then she got back to smelting. I ate myself some chocolate and buzzed around. We both chilled out together, had a meal and a beer. That was a good time. Chatted a bit before I had to get back to working on these walls. About midnight, we were both in bed. Nothing more than the usual to complain about. And about that time, would you believe, some aliens showed up. We were eager to get out, try out our new area, security box. They came running in, stepping on traps. And lo and behold, all of them went down. So just the traps alone seemed to do the job so far. Not a single shot fired. Marjot decided to finish off the ones that hadn't died when they went down. She seemed to be much better at that than I. We were gonna have to rebuild some traps now. Haul some alien carcasses out. But it was what it was. For the minute, we were both back to bed, since we'd been so rudely woken up. And in the morning, we were both gonna do some cleaning. We had some fun that night. Must have been the excitement. Those aliens showing up trying to kill us again. About 9 a.m., we could hear a mad turkey gobbling in the distance. So since we were out and about, picking up bodies and working on walls, I decided to run on inside, figuring that Marjot could handle one turkey. Thing was over there messing with her door, trying to bash its way in since the dog showed it where to go. And Marjot decided to run over and deal with the turkey. She shot it once, shot it twice. It was still coming at her though. She whiffed the last time. And would you believe that turkey got a hold of her? That was mad as heck. She was running around, trying to avoid the body pile. She didn't want to see any of that disgustingness. And then she killed the turkey, the third shot she hit it on. She brought its carcass in, had to go inside. She was laid up in the bed. I decided I'd go over there and tend to her. She wasn't hurt bad, so we didn't use any medicine. And I butchered up the turkey right away. Then I was back to work. Marjot laid in bed for a little while. I took a walk around, just checking stuff out, making sure there's no more of that fungus stuff around. Marjot chilled out and watched some TV for a while, and then we were both off to bed about 11 o'clock once again. When Marjot got up. It was only 2 a.m. She started smelting up steel right away. And I got to the walls a couple hours later. I decided to stop and have a meal in our dining room for once. And lo and behold, I finished the wall sections in the south and got to rebuilding those traps the aliens had destroyed. Marjot had finished up all the steel smelting, and she decided to get back to research. She was still trying to figure out how to make some mortars for us should somebody try and attack us from afar. And we still had a bunch of mortar shells. I decided to build a bit of doorway off our back. Didn't make sense to only have a single door, which a turkey can darn near bash in itself. About 10 o'clock, Marjot did some cleaning and went to bed. I had a ton of repair work to do on the walls and such, so I started working on that. And by midnight, I was in bed as well. Feeling pretty comfortable. Less than usual to complain about. When I woke up, I tossed horseshoes. Marjot was picking up milk. She'd been milking these muffalo everywhere. And she decided to bring all that in where she could find it. I had myself a fine meal. Cleaned up the kitchen, which was a complete nightmare, along with the butcher room. We've been letting things go too long. Marjot decided to take a walk around. And I have more walls to repair. Seemed like that alien blood can destroy anything. After that, I started working on an advanced component. Then we decided to go on outside and see about claiming and deconstructing these crypto sleep caskets we found around. One of them was empty. And I opened the other one. There was some fella named Mason in there. Seemed like he was in pretty bad shape. Specifically asked us not to save him. I don't know why he didn't want to be saved. Perhaps he'd done something wrong. Perhaps he knew he had an alien inside of himself. Regardless of that fact, we decided to leave him. Suppose we could have put him out of his misery. No idea how to deal with that fella. I went over and opened one of the other ones. As I was doing so, a bunch of people showed up to try and kill us. Some kind of different alien popped out, started attacking me with a damn spear. So I took off running. He'd caught me, but not too bad. And we shot the dude up, dropped him. We didn't have time to stop and talk to him because there was a whole bunch of people coming after us. So we hightailed it, trying to make it inside before they got over to us. Whistled the animals, trying to get them inside as well. And that crowd of people was giving chase to us. So we took up our positions. Well, wouldn't you know it, they completely ignored our little hallway with the traps. They decided to go around. They had somebody with grenades who was going to try and blast through our wall. And it wasn't going to take much, in all honesty. So I snuck up and started taking pot shots. Was having decent luck. Marjot decided to run in. Head him off on the inside. I was having a firefight with two people. Fortunately, I had better weaponry. I was going to have to risk it and run out since I had a stupid tree in my way. And I started shooting another fella right as they blasted completely through our wall. I don't think our animals are going to fare too well here. I was having a firefight outside. Some jerk was throwing Molotovs right at one of our muffalo. Marjot shot a guy dead. They were storming in now. A dude with the grenades killed one of our dogs. I'd finished off the fella I was shooting at. They were all filing on inside, attacking our muffalo, chucking grenades. They killed the poor Muffalo as well, shooting up another one. Marjot ran into the house. They destroyed our power conduit, so the lights clearly went out inside. We had bigger concerns at the minute. They were working on killing one of our other dogs. They ended up killing themselves with the friendly fire. I was hanging out outside, waiting for them to come out so I could shoot them. They decided to flee. Marjot came charging out as well. I really wanted to get that son of a bee that had them grenades. Looked like Marjot caught him in the head. And eventually we brought him down. He had some ambrosia in his pocket as well. Some of them had survived, but we weren't feeling too generous at the minute. All the work we were going to have to do, the poor animals they'd killed for no reason. 2 of the dogs had survived. 2 of the Muffalo had survived, so they'd killed 1 of each. They shot one of them up pretty bad though. Caused her to miscarry. That part I'm not too concerned with. We didn't need any more Muffalo around here anyway. I got the power conduit fixed up so we could have power in the house. Marjot was trying to tend to that Muffalo that was down. And eventually she got the job done. She was thinking she might have to go tame some other ones. Poor Mason was still alive out there. He's getting a little manic. If he doesn't want to be rescued though, he can lay there. We were off to bed. I had to get up, tend Marjot, and then myself. About that time a trade ship showed up as well. And it'd be alright. I decided I'd give him a call. I sold some beer and bought some medicine. That was going to be that. Had myself a meal as well. Decided to go to bed. They'd really done a number on our home. That other weird alien had died out there. I'll tell him what that was about. Mason had finally died as well. Looked like a face-hugging alien had gone after him. But it turns out he'd already been attacked by one. Something implanted in his brain. So next up, I had to do some cooking since I was mostly out of meals. Marjot started cleaning stuff up. There was no end of stuff to haul. And I decided to do some cleaning. Felt like I was cooking outside since I didn't have a door over here. Marjot was hauling stuff around. Mason had some gear he'd left. The Muffalo that was down and out got an infection. I'd seen the dog over there licking its leg, so that's probably what caused it. Another turkey went mad nearby. Not sure what's going on with that. Those things don't seem to give up. Must be eating something weird. Marjot grabbed her gun. Decided she'd see if she could take this one down without getting attacked by it. And she had better luck this time. She carried Mason over to where the rest of the bodies were being stacked up. I was rebuilding our walls, standing next to a dead dude. But that's how it goes. There was a lot of repair work to do, not just rebuilding. I went and deconstructed some of those cryptosleep caskets. That other weird alien was still laying about, as was his gear. He had some meals on him, but we decided we didn't want to eat whatever the heck he'd been eating. And there was another casket, hadn't been opened yet. I went over to deconstruct the one that weird guy'd come out of. And then I hauled the materials back, those that I could carry anyway. Marjot was bringing in materials from the first ones I deconstructed. Another gun broke down, needed some repair. I swear those turrets. Constant attention, but I guess that's the problem of having so many of them. We grabbed our guns since we were out and about together. Went over. Decided to open up that last crypto sleep casket. And when I opened it up, one of those dirty aliens came out. The really mean sons of bitches. He was chasing after me, but Marjot brought it down without any trouble. And then we claimed that thing, gonna take it apart. Who knows who the heck put these guys in there. Marjot went, grabbed the components. That first weird alien it dropped. We still left some gold sitting there, but hopefully we wouldn't need it for now. After that, it was 11 p.m. Marjot was off to bed, feeling crabby as it gets. Been cold. We'd seen a lot of dead people. And when I got up, I decided to have a beer. Nothing like a 7 a.m. beer. Marjot joined me. She had a beer too, and then we decided we should probably get to work. Still some walls to rebuild. Some chunks of spacecraft fell nearby. Oddly, right near where we'd been stacking a bunch of corpses. Not the best situation, but I guess it is what it is. Marjot was still bringing in materials, and I ran out to deconstruct that ship chunk. Since it'd get us some material, it'd be worth it to see a couple dead people. After that, I hauled in what I could. Marjot was doing the same. Then I got to the business of doing repairs while Marjot watching TV. She decided to do some cleaning once she was done watching TV. And I had a lot of work here. She was also going to try tame another muffalo. About that time a solar flare happened. Hopefully none of our food will go bad, but otherwise it doesn't affect us too much. I could still do the repairs I needed to. Marjot grabbed a few stones to break down, since it'd give her something to do through the solar flare. Some travelers were passing by about that time as well. Looked like tribal people. We didn't give them any grief, and they didn't give us any. Marjot was still working with the muffalo. The dog seemed to love that muffalo milk, so we let it eat it. I was off to bed. Marjot joined me. Another fine night. And when I got up, I fed the muffalo. Decided to run on out and repair some walls on the outside. Marjot had a meal, then she decided to go try and tame another muffalo again. She didn't have any luck the last time. Well, she'll get there. Apparently not today. I was cooking meals when that transport company ship left comms range, which is just fine with me since we didn't have anything else to trade them. Another ship chunk fell nearby, and I'd been deeply intrigued by what was inside of that structure. Marjot got back to research. She was still working on mortars, having not spent much time researching recently. She took a break to toss horseshoes. I decided to do a bunch of butchering. Seemed like it'd be worthwhile. And I didn't tell her. I just made sure I had my gun ready. Ran on out to deconstruct that ship chunk. And while I was out there, I got to thinking, might be a fun play, see about taking some of those walls apart. In the end, I decided not to risk it. Seemed like it could be a bad situation, but I just couldn't let the thought go. We were off to bed by midnight that night. A little upset about the mess, but other than that, we didn't have anything to complain about. Despite the injuries, the muffalo were getting pregnant, and we were feeling a little frisky ourselves. Marjot got up right away, went and did some research, some cleaning, and she was right back in bed. Some huskies showed up then, friendly as it gets, and as cute as you could imagine. We still weren't going to let them in our house though, but they could hang out for a while if they wanted. We had plenty of corn to go around. And Marjot finally figured out how to get one of them muffalo to join us. So with that, we were back to 3 muffalo. I stuck some roof up for the huskies so they wouldn't be laying in the rain. Dogs tend to stink worse. They lay in the rain. And since I couldn't shake the thought about that weird structure, I decided it was time. I grabbed my gun, ran on down, and I took apart a piece of the wall. Holy crap, there were some of them big old robots in there. 3 little ones, 2 big ones, some medicine, some other stuff I couldn't tell what it was, and some more of them caskets. I took off running. They didn't seem to be giving chase, and I think that might be for the best. Maybe somebody else will deal with them at some point for us, and we can go in there and claim the goodies, or at least claim those bodies and break them down. So I left that stuff laying where it was. I decided to reorganize our outside. We also still needed a bunch of advanced components. Then I moved guns for a bit. We were going to have to build a little private area for building this ship in. She was getting pretty gung-ho about it. So I divided off the little entryway where the guns were. For whatever that's worth, one more layer of security. Couldn't have things busting in here, being able to attack this ship that was perhaps going to be our only saving grace to get us off this planet. So I planned out that area, and Marjot kept right on researching. She came out to work with the Muffalo eventually, and I was making good progress building walls, doors as well. There were a bunch of trees and plants growing up. I was going to have to cut them all down. I wasn't going to take the effort to build floors everywhere. Next up, we were off to bed. We had some fun that night once again. And in the morning, it was mealtime. We decided to move the animals, since right now they were laying right about where our ship was going to need to go. An alpaca had stepped on one of our traps and destroyed it, so I had to rebuild that. Somebody called asking for help, but we can't help everybody. Marjot was chilling out having a beer. I decided to plant some more hops and then worked on some more walls. I'd been butchering all kinds of stuff, so we had a ton of weird leathers laying around in the butcher room. And eventually, I finished the walls, a little private room inside our trap room, which is inside of our big kill box. I took a walk around, just planning out my next step, see where we could build this ship. Marjot was the brains of the operation though, so I didn't quite know where it was going to have to be. I thought about putting up a roof and later decided not to. And I planned one more wall section. Marjot's getting close. Figuring out mortars finally. She claimed she was over halfway there. And at 11 o'clock, once again, we were off to bed. Nothing more than the usual to complain about. We'd found some ironwood trees around. I didn't realize how hard they were till I chopped the suckers. Marjot got up and brought that in. She said we could make some good cash on it. And I was back to building walls. Ran out of slate. All we had left was marble. So that's what I was going to use to finish up the job. Marjot had a meal and then did some cleaning. She was disgusted by the mess inside. One of those huskies had nuzzled me, which was nice of it. I was debating on planting some more corn, but about that time, a whole bunch of aliens showed up. Wouldn't you know it? So we grabbed the guns, made a run for the gun room. A raccoon had died on one of our traps, and our animals were of course still outside. Some of the faster aliens showed up, started stepping on traps right away. And we lined up, getting ready for them, because they were definitely going to make it inside this time. They got a hold of one of the muffalo again. Seems like we lose more animals. It's hardly worth the effort trying to keep the darn things alive. If you're gonna let them roam anyway. We had a dog that was going outside. Stupid thing. Even though we told it to stay in. The aliens finally breached the room. And the guns cut loose. They didn't make it very far. Seemed like we'd made a rather effective method of stopping these disgusting things. We were gonna have to find somewhere closer to put bodies. So they downed our muffalo. Dirty alien buggers. And they came for us. But the guns, pretty intense. So those things don't make it too far. Some of them had gone down, but not died. So we had to get out, do the dirty work once again. And once again, it seemed like Marjot was much better at hitting them than I am. Thing was bleeding everywhere. But eventually I got it in the head a few times. And there were a few more about. Squiggling around on the ground. We couldn't risk having them stand up. And we managed to bring them down. The injured muffalo had gotten itself up. Marjot started hauling stuff right away. She started with the raccoon of all things. And we made a note that all these bodies are going to have to go before too long. Plus we had a tree growing right in our hallway we needed to walk through. I went in and tended up the muffalo. Marjot had sheared a muffalo right nearby. We let all the animals loose again, against our better judgment. The upside of the things getting killed all the time is we have a constant supply of meat without having to go out and hunt. Marjot had a beer, went and fed the muffalo, and I watched some TV. The news around here is disgusting. Alien infestation, alien outbreak, trying to get everybody to stay inside. We both hit the hay. But there'd be a bunch of work to do tomorrow. Fortunately, these turret guns we had, pretty darned awesome. I had to rebuild traps like nobody's business. I stopped and had a meal in between two dead aliens before doing it. Marjot was watching TV. And I cut down that tree that was in our way. There was a mad rabbit outside. Stupid thing went, charged into those big robots and got itself killed. Well, there's the upside of that. I hadn't told Marjot I'd open that thing yet. And hopefully she wouldn't find out. She'd be mad about me risking my life. I was building traps. Marjot was hauling dead aliens around. The usual. But at least they hadn't gotten inside and destroyed anything else this time. We were feeling pretty secure. Multi-layered defenses here. We might need some more steel before too long. There was a bulk goods trader going by. So I decided to give them a call. We had some jade we certainly weren't going to use. So I wanted to make it a point to get that in a spot where we could sell it to them. And about that time, a whole bunch of robots showed up. Fortunately, it was all the little ones. I had just finished rebuilding the traps, of course. About the time these jerks show up, Marjot was in the process of hauling around a bunch of jade. But we had some defending to do. She didn't know the robots were nearby yet. She was about to go outside. And they all showed up. A lot of them died on the traps. And man, them guns are vicious. Marjot was researching. She decided she didn't need to take part in this one. They were coming for me. I decided to go make the phone call to the orbital trader. To heck with it. These guns will take care of this problem all on their own. And sure enough, they did. So I went and made the call. I sold all them dogs off. They were happy to have them. One of the dogs was pregnant. It's the last thing we need, a litter of puppies around here. Sold a bunch of leather. Bought some steel. So we were starting to run low as far as I could tell. I never know where it's going to go when our guns start getting destroyed. I was thinking about building a bunch of extra ones so we could easily install them later on. And as I went to hit the hay, it got really cold. Well below freezing finally. I didn't have much to complain about, just having eaten a meal, and Marjot was feeling decent too. Next time we'd have to get all these robots broken down, carry on with the research.